Hey guys, what's going on? McMull2 here. Welcome back to my channel. So today we just had the breaking news show up on the forums of the Dark Side Territory Battles and Territory Wars. We know what dates they're coming, what we're going to need for them. So we're going to go ahead and break down what we need for the Dark Side Territory Battles. I'm not going to worry about Territory Wars. That's going to be a completely separate video. We can do a more in-depth guide on how to do that once we know more about it and just what we need to prepare for it. But we're going to talk about the 5 characters that are required for the Dark Side Territory Battles. We're also going to talk about the factions that you do need for this. There are a couple of factions like Imperial Troopers, Bounty Hunters, and there's going to be a heavy focus on Empire for this. So we're going to go ahead and break down all that right now. This new mode is going to be called Imperial Retaliation, and basically it's going to be a reverse of the Battle of Hoth Lightside Territory Battle. We completely undo what the Lightside Territory Battle did. So let's go ahead and get into all that information. So, breaking down the information they gave us with the dates and times for Territory Wars and Territory Battles, focusing mostly on the Territory Battles here. Our first Territory Battle for Imperials will start on November 23rd, which is Thanksgiving. Side note, really guys, you're starting a brand new Territory Battle we've never played before, and you're starting on Thanksgiving Day? Good luck with that. And then that is going to go through November 28th, at which point we will then have Territory Wars. And this is going to be an interesting phase where they're going to do a territory battle, 2 territory wars, and then the other territory battle. So you have Rebel, 2 territory wars, then Imperial territory battle, then 2 territory wars. So this may still all be following under a 10-day phase. Who knows? We'll see once this is all out in the open. I was not able to take in the beta, so I can't really tell you what exactly the schedule is here. And of course, we haven't seen the Imperial Territory Battle yet in the game because the information has not been updated in there yet. Once the update goes live, which should be on the 22nd, which should be today as you guys are watching this video, you guys will be able to see it, and then we'll be able to see what exactly we're looking for. So yeah, we've got all of that coming in with the territory battles here. So that's pretty much all the information for this territory battles. And yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what exactly are we looking for with this Imperial Territory Battle. So this new mode of Darkside Territory Battles is called Imperial Retaliation. It's basically going to be the reverse of what we did before, and you're going to be undoing everything that you did as the Rebels and the Lightside Territory Battles. And with this, you're going to have 5 required characters. They are Colonel Stark, Imperial Probe Droid, General Veers, Snowtrooper, and Darth Vader. They're going to be your Hoth hero units. You will be required to use them for special missions, so think of them to unlock certain characters, get that guild event currency, anything like that. The factions that are going to be required for your combat missions are going to be Empire, Imperial Trooper, and Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter is a very interesting one here. Don't really have many people who have geared up their Bounty Hunter factions. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what characters I recommend for that here later on in the video. The first 3 vertical slices will all have the exact same platoon requirements every single time. And basically, like I said before, you are going to do the reverse of everything that you did in the Rebel Lightside missions. They are now going to have an additional territory added, so you can now get a maximum of 48 stars. So hopefully that means we're going to get some better rewards up here. And the big news here is they have dropped the waves on these missions from 6 to 4. That means you're going to be taking a little less time to do these territory battles, which is really, really nice. Thank you for that. But it may mean that it's going to ramp up the difficulty a little bit faster, so you're not going to get through wave 4 as easy as you did before. It's probably going to be harder now. So with that speculation, let's go ahead and now talk about these factions and what teams I recommend that you use here. So first up on here, you have your Bounty Hunter team. You're going to want to use a Boba Fett lead here with something like IG-88, Dengar, Zam Wessel, and Greedo. The reason why you want a Boba Fett lead is because he gives a really nice boost of damage to your team. He gives a lot of crit chance and crit damage to any allies in his team, but then he also has a lot of Bounty Hunter synergies based up in his leadership, where he can give bonus health based on the max combined potency of your team. He can also cause bonus turn meter gain whenever a thermal detonator explodes on a target. So in this team, you have a few different people who can use thermal detonators. Greedo and Zam can both do thermal detonators to the opposing team. Dengar can do tenacity down. He can also do a stun. on demand, and his basic attack can call an assist whenever he attacks a debuff target. So all that does really nicely, and of course with debuffs on the opposing team, IG-88 does really nicely here because he gains bonus damage for each target that has debuffs on it. Now, once you start throwing out those thermal detonators and start stacking them up on the opposing team, you can use either Execute from Boba Fett or Zam Wessel's basic attack to either dispel those buffs or explode the thermal detonators. Either way, it's going to do a lot of damage here. Execute can get rid of that really hard to kill target like some kind of elite character, or you can use those thermal detonators to really boost the charge meter on your bounty hunter characters. So either one is really going to work here. So keep that in mind. And also finally, Greedo synergizes really well with a Boba Fett lead because he can get a lot of bonuses based off of landing critical hits, and he can attack again. He also has the AoE thermal detonator like I said before, so he is going to do really well with this Boba Fett lead. And yes, bounty hunters are not an easy team to have here because not a lot of people have worked on them, and it's not really something we've been really working on. So this is kind of an iffy faction to use for dark side territory battles, and it seems more like they're just trying to get some money out of us so we can panic farm and invest in these characters, especially with the fact that we have dark side territory battles coming out tomorrow. So at this point, this is something I would not panic farm on because we also have Jedi Ray coming soon, which we'll talk about more at the end of the video. But at this point, I would say at least get these characters up to gear 8 or 9 for starters, and then go from there and see what else you need to invest in. You may want to invest in the Zeta for Boba Fett on his Bounty Hunter's Resolve, where it gives him the protection recovery, but that's an iffy Zeta here. I wouldn't say you absolutely have to have it, but it could be a nice insurance Zeta to have here. But really, at the end of the day, you want to focus more on getting these characters up and to like gear 8 or 9 at least, and get some pretty decent mods on them too, because we don't know exactly what we're looking for in this team, and things could fall apart pretty quickly. So just gear them up, but don't panic so far yet. No panicking. If you panic, you're going to waste money, and that's going to hurt you in the long run. Now, with an Imperial Trooper lineup, you of course want a General Veer's leadership ability. He gives bonus offense and protection and other buffs to your Imperial Troopers once they start defeating enemies. And like I said in my previous territory prep guide, that the Zeta on his unique is going to be creating a snowball effect here, where as you defeat enemies, your Imperial Troopers are really starting to get a lot of bonus buffs, regenerate protection, and it's really going to make them do a lot of damage. Snowtrooper and Stark both are going to give you armor penetration and crit damage, and that is going to do pretty nicely. Stark can also give crit chance up to your entire team, so all those abilities together is really going to stack up to create a lot of bonus damage for your team. Shore Trooper is going to have a pre-taunt on him, which is huge. A pre-taunt is always really nice to have, especially if you're fighting some kind of team that is going to have 100% turn meter at the beginning of the fight. And of course, his taunt also gives crit immunity to your entire team. And then finally, Magma Trooper here, he gives bonus tenacity to your Imperial Trooper lineup. That is going to be nice in of itself because you don't know exactly if there's going to be a lot of debuffs going on here. But also his Thermal Detonator Grenade, his Thermal Imploder, I believe is the name of it, can reduce the turn meter of the entire opposing team. He can also do 2 hits at once with his basic attack. So all those things are going to combine together really nicely, make you have a very deadly team here. You could throw Death Trooper in here, and one of the other Imperial teams I'm going to talk about here, Death Trooper can do really nicely when paired with Director Krennic, and I think Director Krennic is going to be your best other Empire lead to have in territory battles for Darkside because of the protection generation. We'll get into that here in a moment. But for now, I think these 5 characters are probably going to be your best bet for a very deadly, very efficient Imperial Trooper lineup that's going to allow you to really dominate the other team. I would really recommend you get the Zeta on Veers here. That is going to make things do really well for your team. It's really going to make them pretty deadly. It's not required, but it is incredibly highly recommended that you get that Zeta on his unique. Another Empire team that I mentioned before was Director Krennic. You have Director Krennic, Death Trooper, TIE Fighter Pilot, Grand Moff Tarkin, and Grand Admiral Thrawn. You're going to want the leadership Zeta on Director Krennic because it will give him crit chance to all Empire allies, and then whenever they score a critical hit, they regenerate 10% protection. That's going to be pretty big. Reason that you're going to want to use TIE Fighter Pilot in here is because with all the debuffs going out from this team, especially with Grand Moff Tarkin in there, who has debuffs that can't be resisted by Rebel targets. The debuffs are going to allow TIE Fighter Pilot to move fast and gain a lot of bonus offense. So he's going to be your main damage dealer in this team. He can also get Foresight, so he can dodge any kind of counterattacks on him. So really, at the end of the day, he also has a lot of high base crit chance. So he's going to also be landing a lot of critical hits. And he can also do an AoE of his own that can put out buff immunity. So he's pretty much going to be your MVP for damage, and that is why you want to include him in this team. Death Trooper and Krennic have a lot of synergy here. The Zeta on Death Trooper makes it really hard to kill Krennic, gives Death Trooper a lot of bonus turn meter when Director Krennic gets hit, and Director Krennic can also revive Death Trooper if he gets killed. Tarkin, like I said before, he has all those debuffs, so that's going to synergize nicely with TIE Fighter Pilot. And then Grand Admiral Thrawn is sort of going to be your medic here. He can fracture if needed, but his main ability here that's going to shine is his Grand Admiral's Command. It's going to swap turn meter and also regenerate health and protection, and that's also going to cleanse. So he's basically your emergency healer, and he can cleanse debuffs if needed. So he could also be used as another Empire lead. I'm saying he's pretty good for an Empire lead too, because he also gives the maneuver ability that can cleanse and give bonus turn meter. But at the end of the day, I do like to use him in a Director Krennic lead, but if we have to use a third Empire team, we're probably going to need Darth Vader. We don't know, but Thrawn could also make a very, very good Empire lead there for that as well. So that is it for this team. I think this team is probably going to be your best team to use when you're not having to require to use certain characters in a combat mission. Now, some other honorable mentions before we move on and talk about what's going on with Rey and how they've heavily hinted out she's coming very soon. There are some honorable mentions here. Darth Vader, we know he's going to be a required character. We are probably going to need him as a leader at some point. He is going to work very well with something like Emperor Palpatine. His dots on his leadership means that he can stack up those dots and they won't expire. Another character that was just introduced, Wampa, can put out dots. He gains a lot of bonus offense and counter with those dots, so he is going to do great, absolutely wonderful under a Zeta lead. So Zeta with Wampa and Emperor Palpatine going to be a fantastic combination for any kind of dark side team that you need to use. And you may need him to be required for a leader mission. We don't know yet. But also something like Nihilus and a Sith team. Darth Nihilus, he gives a lot of health steal to your Sith. He can also regenerate that health really quickly. It converts all that protection to health, and that means that they can never lose that protection and they heal a lot of damage back. So that's another nice team to have. And then, of course, you can use Vader or Palpatine in that team too. So really, Nihilus, Sith team, another team that you can look at. So both those teams are two other teams I recommend you look at to maybe fill out your dark side roster. But as far as we know, they are not required teams. They're not something that you really have to use yet. So if we do figure out something like that, I can do a video guide that shows those teams in action and basically spell out how to do those teams. So once we get this dark side territory battle in another day or two, I can do a video on that and I can show you guys what you need to do for that. So with that, let's move on to Rey. Now, going on to Rey, you guys have seen in the forum post that veteran smugglers Han and Chewie have moved to Cantina nodes in the final node, 16 energy per sim. This is going to be a very rough grind, and I said before in another video, they are more than likely going to be needed to get this new version of Rey that we're getting. So this sucks. It's gonna basically force a panic farm, as I called this before, and I said it would not surprise me, and it still doesn't surprise me, but it does not make me feel any less pissed off about the situation. But moving on from that, you may have also seen in the what's to come, there's a quote there where Rey meets with Maz and is pulled directly from The Force Awakens. Maz says this line directly to Rey. So this pretty much confirms we're about to get this new version of Rey within the next 1 or 2 weeks. So be ready for that. Save up some Zetas for that too, because I'm sure she is going to be some kind of meta-defining character if any indication of what Commander Luke is like. And since Rey looks like she's going to have the exact same hero's journey, she's probably going to have 6 abilities, maybe 3 Zetas, we don't know, but it would not surprise me if she's some kind of meta-breaking character just like Commander Luke that's going to completely shatter everything. So be ready for that, and make sure that you have veteran smugglers Han and Chewie ready for that if you have to buy crystals for that or anything like that. that's fine, but you probably are only going to need her to be 5 stars to make her really good for the arena meta. So that is pretty much it for this video, guys. If y'all have any questions or comments, ask them down below in the comments section. I'll do what I can to answer them. As always, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Feel free to like and share this video. Also, go check out Cubfan Han. His channel, he and I just did a collaboration where we talked about the top 15 ranked characters. That was a fun video. I really enjoyed doing it with him. So that link to his channel in the video is down below as well. But as always, guys, thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.